Hello and welcome to another League of Legends commentary. So I'm back and I've been away for the last couple of weeks trying to figure out what I can do better to improve the channel. And while I was doing that, obviously I wasn't producing any videos, but that's okay. I'll be back, and basically there's two types of videos that I'm now going to start producing. There is the regular commentary, which I can produce quite quickly and I'll try to do on a daily or an every other daily basis. And there's also sort of the more in-depth videos, which require a fair amount of video editing, which are going to be like guides, matchups. For instance, let's say you're playing against Amumu. What can you do against an Amumu? And basically, what are you trying to do as Amumu? So things like that. So those are the new types of videos I'm going to start producing, and also I might do like a highlights sort of video as well. So today is going to be a commentary video, as I said before, and I'm playing Amumu. So the first thing you want to do when you start off a game is check what your opponents are. So, for instance, what their heroes are, what their strengths and weaknesses are, and sort of have a general idea of like how you want to build your items. And then you can change that as the game progresses. And the next thing you want to do is check your key bindings. And I make a mistake in this game of not checking my key bindings and suffer for it. There, I was trying to steal the blue, and I thought I was in range, but I just barely missed it with my smite. So I flashed out, and I didn't need to flash out because I wasn't being focused. So we got a first blood because Shen overextended. And here I overextend and get myself killed, so that's really bad. Dying as the jungler is really, really bad because it's so hard to catch up. So yeah, so the two mistakes I made there were to, one, fight in like a 2v4 basically. You saw the fight was fine until the other two members of their team came, so I had thought, okay, we can kill them fast enough before their team members come, but that was obviously incorrect. So yeah, I should have just thought about that a little bit better before I fought that, and also I used my flash when I didn't need to. So the next thing that I do here is I'm really behind, so I buy a lot of potions. I think I have like 5 or 6 health pots and 2 mana pots, and the mana pots are really important because Amumu's jungle clear is dependent on mana, so that's why you always want to start blue on him, almost always. So that's what I do, and this is just going to help me clear the jungle a lot better and catch up since I was so far behind before. And I make a mistake here in going back to wolves before I went to red, and my idea here was to hit level 3, but it's obviously a more inefficient jungle route. As you can see, it would have been fastest to go to red, double golems, and then go back. But again, I didn't really think about it, and I'm going to be making lots of mistakes this game because I haven't played in a couple of weeks. And the reason for that was, one, I was working on the videos, and 2 was also I've been getting really frustrated and tilting a lot. So for those of you that don't know what tilting is, it's terminology from poker, which means that you take a mistake and amplify it, basically. So, for instance, if you lose a game, all the next games you play much more poorly because you're like mad and frustrated, and your gameplay starts to get really poor. So you should, if you notice yourself that you're tilting, then you should definitely take a break and just come back later, because it's really just not worth playing. You're just going to lose and get more and more frustrated, and you won't practice effectively. So that's what you should just keep in mind when you're playing. Am I just so emotionally messed up right now that I can't play? I make another mistake here, which is, you saw as when I hit level 3, I actually put a point into bandage, which is his long-range stun. It's a skill shot, and I should have actually taken the point in tantrum for the faster clear time. And this is actually a big decision that you need to make with Amumu. If you're ganking, you need to get that early level 3 bandage, but if you're just going to farm your jungle more, then you definitely want the tantrum to have faster clear times. So here, I don't know if you'd seen it before, but they killed top lane, and there's no way that I could gank top, and there was also no way I could have ganked mid. I didn't show you exactly what was going on in the game state, but that was what it was. So just like take a look at the lanes, and this is important for a lot of jungles. There are a lot of times there'll be skills as a jungler that will let you clear the jungle faster, and that's why they're a jungler, obviously. And there will also be skills that help you gank. And if you're clearing the jungle and not ganking, then you should definitely consider getting the jungle skills. So again, I missed that bandage there because I didn't have my bandage set to a key binding, so I like had to like click on it, and my timing was really off. But we still got the kill. So again, make sure you check your key bindings before the game starts. I often remap my Q if I'm playing, for instance, Janna. Like, I really don't like her Q on Smartcast. So just make sure you've done this before your fights, or else you're gonna like miss kill shots, or not hit them very well. Again, I'm just clearing out my jungle. You saw I rushed the Spirit Stone. I could have also gotten boots potentially in this situation, or more health pots and mana pots. And the reason I like this is because I wasn't going to get my blue buff for a while, so the Spirit Stone is going to help me deal with that. It's also going to do more damage to the jungle creep, so I can clear them faster and use less mana and health. So it's really a great item, and there wasn't really too much to gank here. So as you can see, there was nothing that I could really gank bottom. There's nothing I can that's pushed up to the tower. That's what I mean by there's nothing to gank. If it's like pushed up to the tower, yes, you can sometimes be successful, but it's also much more risky because you can die to tower dives if you're trying to tower dive them, and also it's much less likely for the gank to succeed. So yeah, being aware of what's going on the map is very important for the jungler, both to determine what items you're going to get and whether you should be ganking or not, or clearing the jungle. And here is another important thing to understand. It's just general strategy and map awareness. If your mid laner goes back, then you should definitely cover his lane, because the amount of gold and XP in a lane is much greater than the amount of gold and XP of the jungle. That being said, you have to be careful on how you do that. You don't want to basically allow a situation to occur where the enemy team's mid or top lane, or even bottom lane, can freeze the lane in an unfavorable position. So if, for instance, let's say I stayed in mid until Vlad got back, I should have definitely just pushed it all the way to the tower, and that would have denied the most XP and gold to the enemy mid laner. And that's actually a big favor. Like, a lot of times the mid laner or top laner would think that you're doing a disservice, but you're actually helping them a lot. I think I would have done that if I had thought about it a little bit better. Again, so I'm making a bunch of incorrect strategic decisions in this game, which is good, because it'll sort of help you guys to understand when you make incorrect strategic decisions. But yeah, instead I went to blue, and the reason I actually did that was I was worried that Nautilus would steal my blue if I stayed in the lane. So if you're a jungler and you notice the enemy team is losing pretty poorly, and the jungler constantly needs to cover lanes, then you can be very safe in knowing that you can counter jungle. So if you see that happening, then that's a great time to counter jungle. Here I thought their blue was up, but because I didn't see I saw Nautilus bot before, and I didn't see he had blue, so I assumed that his blue was on it, but he actually had done blue much later than is normal, and that's because he stole my blue, so I should have just taken into account and realized it wasn't up yet. And I'm just counter jungling. Again, we knew where Nautilus was, so that was a great time to do that. And I used my Q incorrectly. I used it just to get the extra damage when I should have used it as, a good time to use it as a stun. And unfortunately, our Kha'Zix doesn't dive like he should have there, but that's okay. And I just flash and get my Q off and get a kill. Unfortunately, he gets me too low before I get the kill, so they're able to kill him with an Ignite. But they used 2 flashes on me, which they didn't need to do, really. I think just 1 flash would have done it, or the Ignite probably would have finished it off. And here was just poor execution on our team's part. They could have gotten, 2 kills there and gotten out for free. And, sometimes that just happens. You don't execute the plays the way that you need to execute them. So, again, it was fine decision making, but poor execution. So, a lot of times what makes this, improving in this game difficult is sometimes you can have, a great decision and your team won't follow up. And then sometimes you can have a horrible decision, but you or the enemy team has very poor mechanics, and you don't get punished for making the bad decision. And it's really hard to know if the enemy team is actually going to do a good job with mechanics or not. Obviously, the more you get to see of the enemy team, how they play, the better idea you can get of how good they are. But again, you should definitely be trying to make good plays and not rely on just getting lucky and that they're making bad mechanics decisions. I saw that their blue was up before, and instead of going to mid lane, I should have gone straight to their blue or not at all. So basically, I sort of tried to do both. I tried to get the XP from mid lane and also do blue, and that was a big mistake. I should have just done one or the other. So yeah, a lot of times you need to commit to a decision, and it's really different for different players, but like that's certainly a mistake I make a lot. I don't commit to decisions when they're there. Like when I've like decided to do something, I sort of try to do both. Like for instance, farm a lane and also help gank. This is a problem, and you should try to correct it. As you saw there that both Shen and Malphite got focused. So Vlad focused Vlad focused Malphite, and Kha'Zix and I focused Malphite, and that prevented us from getting this double kill. And even though I got killed there, it was fine because one, he's higher level than me, and two, like we can put a fair amount of damage and deny XP and gold because it's pushed to the wave, pushed to the turret. So if you're like for instance top lane or mid lane, trading at the turret is usually a very good deal because you deny so much XP and gold to them. Another thing that you might have noticed in that last fight was that I didn't go on Malphite as soon as I was in range. I waited for Kha'Zix to start, coming around the back. So he was positioned here, and then he started moving around the back like this. And once I saw him go about here, that was when I went in. So if you're, like for instance, mid lane or top lane, and you know that the jungler is nearby, wait for the jungler to start moving before you go in on the enemy champion. So that's just a matter of like knowledge and awareness, but you'll get a better handling of that the more you play and the more you have an idea of like what sort of range you need to be and how much damage you do. But again, you should wait for the jungler to make the first move, because if he doesn't, then no one's going to know when to go. And the jungler has the element of surprise, so that's the other reason why you want to wait for them to make the first move. Here I'm thinking that I want to do dragon, and again this is something that you can see it's 12 minutes, 13 minutes in, and we haven't done a single dragon. No one's done any dragons, even though we're very far ahead. We're 9 kills up. And this is just me being rusty and not really understanding right away like what map objectives and things that I can do to really snowball the game ahead. So if you're like very far ahead, you should definitely make sure you do dragons and secure other objectives. In fact, I skipped wolves here because I was thinking I was going to do dragons right away. So I also see that this tower is low, so I say, okay, let's quickly take this tower, because I can't do dragon by myself, and then we can go ahead and kill dragon. I think that I'm not in range of the hawk shot, and I didn't actually want to bandage because these two creeps were blocking, so that's why I didn't bandage. And unfortunately, she puts her like little seed thing there, so that gives her vision, so I can't get a kill there. But I go down here, and I think they know. I know that they're there, but they're like making strange mistakes. They decide to go in after the tower's dead for some reason, and Ashe steps on a trap, and somehow my bandage hits Ashe, because obviously you saw it did damage, but it didn't pull me to her, which was very bizarre. I think I would have saved my ulti if that happened. And I should have also let Shen come in, because Ashe was definitely dead. And if I had let Shen come, we could have gotten a double or potentially a triple kill. So that was just a safe play on my part, but obviously not the best play. So, you have to really consider, should I make safe plays or, like potentially riskier and better plays? And I think you should, if you're behind, you really need to consider making riskier plays. If you are behind, you need to catch up, obviously. And the way you do that is by, making plays. If you're ahead, you really do not need to make the risky play, and the safe play is usually better. So you'll see, like for instance, people trying to dive towers when they're really ahead to get more kills, when all they really had to do was just push in the turrets, and then they would have won. So that's an example of when you make a risky play and it's completely incorrect. This is somewhat my fault and somewhat Kha'Zix's fault. I think I should have been clear that I didn't have ulti, because I think he thought I did, and if he had realized that, he wouldn't have gone in. And I think both people could have gotten away, but I'm just waiting for my ulti to come up, and I should have definitely gone on their, what's it called, Nautilus, when he was that low. Like, I definitely could have gotten the kill. My ulti was just about to come up, so that was just me being a little too cautious, and I think it would have been very easy to secure that kill. Again, my ulti wasn't up during the fight, it just came up basically as soon as that fight was over, so I should have definitely gotten the double kill there. And again, it's the safe play just to push in this turret, kill it, and get the golden XP for your team, and it's definitely the best play you could be doing right now. Another thing that I should be doing is stealing their blue, and I ping it to let our team know that, you know, blue is up, probably up, and we can definitely steal it if that's possible. And that's another way that's a very usually safe play if you have wards. If you don't, it can be very risky. So again, it can be either a risky play, as I said before, a very, very safe play. But if you get it, it's a huge amount of gold and XP that you're denying the enemy team, and they really need like these blue buffs to catch up. So if you can do that, you should definitely make sure you can. You know, it was totally worth like maybe 5 seconds to check if blue buff was up, just for the off chance that they would it would be up and I could steal it from them. There, Shen flashed my bandage, and he didn't flash the right direction, so I was able to get an easy ulti on him, and we cleaned up the kill. I don't think I needed to use my ulti there, because we had more than enough damage to secure it, and it would have made pushing the next tower much easier. So that's another thing that you can do, and that people often do incorrectly when they're ahead, is that they don't back off once their ultis are down. So here, I don't have an ulti, and I don't think, let's see, does Kha'Zix have his ulti? It's hard to click on him with the touchpad. Kha'Zix does have his ulti, but it doesn't have the same effect as mine it does, which is an AoE stun. So basically, if you're ahead, you should just back off if it's like a somewhat risky situation, and wait for your ultis to come up. So that's something you should really consider. Are my ultis up? And if they aren't, then you should definitely consider not fighting. Again, it really depends what your ultis do, what your team comp is, but like, for instance, if Morg, Vlad, and my ulti are all down, that really diminishes our team fighting potential, and we should definitely understand that we're much weaker than we think we are. Like, we're not just like a team that just does 80 damage. Here you can see the power of this ward. We get a catch on Malphite, and he has to blow his ulti. And I'm just waiting here to use my Q. If I had tried to run around, I would have definitely not been able to get there in time to get the bandage off on them. And they're pretty split, even though it's like a 4v5 on their part. So it's fine to fight this. And Shen goes in and just dies, basically. And here, I could have tried to get the bandage. I think it was on cooldown. Let me just see. Yeah, it was on cooldown right when I was doing that. And this is something with skill shots. For instance, if you're playing Blitz or Amumu or Mundo, that's another example of where this commonly happens. Here, Ash should have realized that we could easily kill her because she was so low. So that's something that I've said before. Like, if you're like pretty weak and the enemy team can just dive you, you should just ignore this turret. Like, he shouldn't even bother trying to defend it. There was no way he's going to do it. And he just gave us an extra kill and guaranteed us this turret, basically. So that's just something. And so as I was saying before with skill shots, if you have like a Blitz or a Mumu or a Mundo, you should, and they're trying to dodge your skill shot, you should actually not use it and just walk up to them and use, like, for instance, use my Despair and my Tantrum, and that lets us get more kills. And again, we should have just backed out right away. I used my bandage to get to this wolf creep, and I would have survived if he had tanked it, but like it's hard for him to, like, well, he should have known. Like, it was pretty obvious that's what I was trying to do. But like I didn't really expect that play to work, and it didn't. So, but it was certainly worth a try. So like, if there's like sometimes like you're not going to survive by juking, but sometimes it's just worth it, and sometimes you'll make it, and sometimes you won't. So I think if you can do that, you should definitely not just give up when they're going to kill you. You know, you should fight to your last breath, because it's a fighting game. So we're just waiting for respawns, and the last thing we're going to do is we could either have done Baron, which I think would have been a great play, that would have been fine, or we could have just pushed down mid, and we decided to push down mid because we're pretty far ahead. So that's just something you should make sure you're doing. Like, if you're pretty far ahead, you should finish up the game. You shouldn't just let them have the opportunity to get back into the game, because even though, again, we're like 12k ahead of them in gold and a lot ahead in kills and items and all that, you should definitely make sure you finish out games, instead of just like, we could have just tried to like push the side towers in, or like tried to farm our jungle too much. Like, that's not what you want to be doing. You want to be securing objectives and finishing off the game. As far as my items in this game, and it does change very significantly for Amumu from game to game, but I really like getting Sunfire Cape on Amumu. It gives a pretty nice amount of damage, and once you add in his like passive, which degrades, it shreds magic resist when you hit people, and also some of the items that you want to get on him. So you really do like magic resist items on him. I think it's great. So that's another great set of items here. I also often like rushing Abyssal after I get Sunfire Cape, but I saw that they had no AD damage, so I went ahead and got my Haunting Guys because it gives me a more effective health against their team, basically. Okay, so we're just trying to finish up the game. We finished off their turret, and now here's a big mistake that they make. They don't try at all to defend this turret. I know that this tower is pushing, but like they should just let one person try to defend it while, you know, like someone that does AoE damage, while the rest of them try to secure this tower. I know that like the chance of them like saving this tower was pretty low, but the alternative was just basically a guaranteed loss. So again, sometimes you just have to make risky plays when you're behind, and you know, sometimes like if they had messed that up, it would have been like the game would have ended like within like 30 seconds, but by just letting us have the slow push in, they guaranteed the loss. So, you know, you should just be aware of that. We're just trying to finish off these turrets. Our team didn't need to die. We just needed to slowly push these turrets in. So, like, that's something we should definitely could have kept in mind. And I'm just trying to kill all these minions so that they quickly take down the enemy turret. And when I see the opportunity, I just say, okay, they had to do this, basically. They had no choice but to make this like really risky play trying to get a kill on someone so that they could prevent their loss. And that's just when you capitalize on a mistake, basically. So when you're ahead, you basically force them to make bad plays, and that's how you win the game. Alright, so I hope you enjoyed this replay. There'll be another replay up in a day or two, and I'm going to be releasing these commentaries quite frequently again, now that I figured out, you know, how to do all the audio editing and things like that. And I'll also be releasing different types of content, for instance, champion walkthroughs, matchups, highlight reels, and things like that. So let me know what you guys think of that when I post them, and what you guys want as far as like what percentage of the content you want as, you know, commentary like this sort of thing, or what percent you want like as guides, walkthroughs, and things like that. And I'll try to tailor this channel more to what you guys want. So you guys had requested some stuff, and I take your request seriously, and I try to provide the best commentary and everything that I can to make this channel interesting for you guys. So again, let me know what you guys want, and I'll try to supply that.